caring for each other in our company is very, very important. Really, this what really helps to get that perfect product out, right? Because if you care about your client businesses, that's when you really want to try and help like to grow it, right? So that's extremely important for me. So if I see that again on the interview somebody really doesn't care too much about like me or my business, I'm like, that's not what I want in my company. I actually want in my company for everybody to care and for everybody to care about our clients.
This is Social Pulse Podcast Agency Edition, your go-to guide to solving your biggest marketing agency challenges authentically. I'm your host, Mike Allton, and each episode is an honest and frank look at what agencies go through, from turning clients to tackling tech and ideas that you can apply to your own business. And now, the rest of today's episode. Welcome back to Social Pulse Podcast Agency Edition, where each and every week we're talking to marketing agencies like you, going through many of the same struggles you're going through and sharing their stories. Subscribe to find in each episode inspiration, motivation, and the perspiration that go into growing and scaling agencies like yours. Now listen, are you stuck in the never-ending cycle of trying to do everything yourself in your agency? It's a common trap for many entrepreneurs, especially when scaling up. But how do you move from being a one-person show to building a dream team that can take your agency to new heights? Today, we're thrilled to have Kateryna Quinn, a Forbes-featured entrepreneur and the founder of aStash Web Design and Marketing. Join us. Kateryna has faced and conquered the challenges of expanding her team, developing robust business processes, and shifting from managing all tasks herself to delegating effectively. If increasing your team's efficiency and mastering the art of delegation is your goal, Kateryna's journey will provide you with the practical insights you need. Hello, Kateryna. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I'm very excited.
So glad to have you. To start, could you just share what prompted you to shift from doing everything yourself to actually building a team?
Yeah, so it's actually my daughter. I had a daughter in 2023, and that's what's been the biggest like life change for me and the decision maker as well. So I started this business in 2018, and for a few years I was kind of growing it slowly, having small team, and 2021 was the best year for us. But after that, I was at my breaking point pretty much, right? I was not able to scale the business. I was working like 90, 100 hours a week. It was absolutely exhausting. Like I can see the way to move away from that, from all that work and not really being able to grow. So I actually got pregnant. So I don't know if that's the luck or what, but I really wanted the child. So I got pregnant, had my daughter in 2023, and took a few years to just maintaining the business, pretty much not really trying to scale it, trying to figure out my personal life. And after, when I came back to work, when she was about 10 months, to fully get back to the agency, trying to get it big, trying to scale it, that's where I realized I can't do this anymore. Like the way I worked before, it's not gonna work for me anymore. I need to change something like that. Like I need to make a change. I need to figure out if I want to spend time with my daughter, I need to figure out how to have this business run without me. So that's pretty much was my main decision-making reason to really make a change.
That makes a lot of sense. So many of the folks who come on the show are talking about that need to find a balance. And balance is really almost a bad word because, or an inappropriate word, because it's never a true balance. You're never working or not working at exactly the same rate. But it's about this idea of making sure that we're allotting enough time in our lives to do the things that we need and want to do, whether that's raising a family, spending time abroad. There's a lot of different themes that people have come up with, but it's all around that central idea of not spending 80, 90 hours a week doing nothing but work and just, working to live and instead of living to work. But now that you made that decision, what were some of the initial challenges that you hit right away in trying to delegate some of the tasks that you've been doing?
Yeah, so actually the first challenge I had was as basic as creating the job descriptions, right? Really because that was the first thing. I'm like, okay, I need to really understand what tasks I have, what I do now, right? I had to document everything for like 3 months to really figure out what I do in my daily life to make sure I can have people do the same things instead of me. So that was like, okay, I need to create the job descriptions, write down all the tasks that each position is going to be doing, that's what I'm doing now, and always figure out the budget for that. That's always the big deal when you don't have this many clients, when you're not like able to grow and scale to get more money in. You need to kind of figure out the way what position is going to be the most important at first and what's going to be the cheapest at first, right? So maybe try to prioritize what tasks you're doing that are low value and what are the high value, and keep the high value for now for you to do yourself, but the low value should go to somebody else who able to do this instead of you. And that's how you kind of start growing this a little bit more. And we are the full service marketing agency, so that's actually making it a little bit more difficult, I'd say, because we have a lot of different jobs that's happening. That I was doing kind of a lot of them. We had like SEO expert and backend developer, but I was like designer, front-end developer. I was doing some SEO tasks. I was doing paid ads. So it was absolutely crazy. And like when you hire, you can't really it's very difficult to find a person that's gonna like know everything. So you need to really figure out what job position's gonna be like the most important and what you want to advertise, right? For us, like we are web design focused, SEO focused. So I really wanted to make sure I get like web design covered and development fully covered, because that's like the first, my hire is going to be like front-end developer, like full stack developer. And of course, like a assistant project manager type, that's somebody who's going to do a lot of those like maybe lower value tasks at first, and then they can grow in the more important roles, right? But yeah, again, like assistant, again, somebody, one service focused tasks, figure out like designer, developer, web development's covered, right? So 3 people for me right now can really fully take on a web design project. So like the project manager is going to take care of like just managing everything, maybe working with the client, content. Then we have a designer who can design the whole website, and then the developer can build the whole website. So it's a lot easier to at least cover one service. But still, because we have so many different services, it's very difficult to hire so many people at first, right? So you have to really focus on what service you can fully, completely delegate, right? So hire somebody who's going to work together to fully delegate one service and get some money in on that service specifically, because I'm not going to advertise like paid ads if I know I'm going to need to do it myself and I don't have time. But I really want to advertise web design if I have a team of 3 people now, really fully able to take care of that.
Yeah, you said it so well from the very beginning that the real challenge, the first big challenge, is documenting what it is that we do. And if you're lucky, you already have a step-by-step process that you follow. And so you just need to film yourself doing that process. And now you've got an SOP that you can hand out to somebody else. So most of us aren't that lucky in the things that we're doing every single day. We don't necessarily have a documented or thought through process or a framework that we're following. We might approach every project and every client a little bit differently. So we have to stop and think through, okay, how can I standardize how I'm doing this thing, whatever that thing is, and do it in a way that you can predict excellence every single time and then document it. So that's an absolutely huge challenge. And I know that you talked about already, the different kinds of people that you're going to bring in, identifying where you needed to fill in the holes to make sure you've got that complete stack of processes filled. But how do you go about identifying the right people to join your team? You're hiring for all these different roles, so there's obviously expertise there, but what else are you thinking about?
Yeah, so it's actually, first of all, it's trial and error, right? I had hired a lot of people in the last 6 years, like a lot. And some of them are just like contract jobs, very small jobs. But it was honestly about like 100 people I hired already. And most of them are unsuccessful. It was like, when I started doing this, it's funny, I started this business, but I never worked in the agency before. So I knew like marketing. I worked like in marketing for like a furniture interior design store, but I've never really worked in the agency setting. So I had no idea how all of this works. So when I started growing and selling some more, I was really trying to figure out what to do with hiring, how to hire, and I tried everything. I can promise you, I tried and test tasks and contractors and like a flat rate, like one project kind of tasks positions, right? And then it was not successful at all. So what I'm doing now is actually still hiring contractors first, but like for first 3 months, right? They're still working full time. They're not officially employed because I really want to get this 3 months trial to see how the person does, like how they learn, what skills they have, and how the work process goes with everybody, right? How they interact with the team and all of this. But personally, really, really important, what I found the most successful for me in hiring is really focusing on the personality and work ethic, because skills are great. Like you can find a person with lots of skills and lots of expertise, like you said, and it's all great, but if it doesn't matter if they don't want to work hard, and if they're not professional, if they don't take it seriously, right? So I had so many people that were just absolutely like not, I don't know, not paying attention to details and things, not really following the rules almost, like really being sloppy here and there. And I hate this. I'm quite a I'm quite a perfectionist. I really don't like when people are sloppy with things. I want everybody to have really like good attention to detail in everything they do, and that's been so important for me. So but as soon as I started to really focus on that, to hire, I started getting the interviews, first 2 interviews each position. So first with my project manager, and then I come in and also interview them. And I really want to just look them in the eye, just kind of look them in the eye and see if they're serious about the interview, if they look professional, if they kind of dressed up, if they're not late on the interview, if they look like they want it, because I'm done working with people that don't really care. Like for me, we're gonna talk maybe later a little bit about this, but caring and like having a lot of passion in what people do is very important for us. It's like core values for us, and I really want to make sure when I hire, I make sure they reliable, they hardworking, and they maintain our core values that we provide to our clients.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
So we've had a lot of folks on this show and agency owners that I've talked to outside of the show that could definitely relate to everything you're talking about. They jump into the business because they're excellent at marketing, and they've got to figure out as they go how to build the team, how to grow and scale the agency. That's a big part of why we had the show in the first place. But I'm wondering, once you start to bring people on, what were some of the strategies that you brought on to actually help keep them accountable, right? You talked about how important it was that they care, that they have this attention to detail. How are you being effective in your delegation and ensuring accountability within that team?
Yeah, for sure. So the most important for us is communication. Since a lot of our team is actually remote, so we have a little bit like maybe 4 people here in Fort Collins, but we have 11 people overall now. So a lot of our team is all over the place, let's say. So communication is absolutely the must, because if you work with remote teams and if you don't communicate properly, if you don't check in, if you don't know what's happening with the person and their personal life and their like work life, you're really not going to be successful. So we actually have team meetings. I also have like personal meetings with each staff like each week, because it's absolutely the must. It can be like 15 minutes call, it can be maybe 2 hour call sometimes. So you never know, but we really want to check in and kind of understand what's happening with the person, how they feel, what they think, and how the work is going. If they have any questions, we want to make sure we are helpful. So yeah, everything goes smoothly for the projects and the clients. So we also use the project management software, right? So the software is like absolutely a must as well. I actually don't think it's possible to work with like a team of 11 people without any kind of like management software, because you need to build the roadmaps, you need to delegate, assign the tasks, to each person. You want to kind of see what's the load for each person is to see how busy they are they making the deadlines, are they not making the deadlines. You want to estimate tasks for each task. Again, this is estimate time, sorry, for each task, because this is something that I actually think about when I write those processes at first. I want to make sure I have the time estimate for every task so we can plan out the project. We can provide correct proposals. We don't work with like time-based. Usually it's a flat rate for our clients. So I really need to know how long each task takes and how, like, what the rate I'm paying the person to do each task, and calculate everything to make sure we are on correct, even correct pricing for a customer. And of course, the software also helps us to work on the documents together, like sharing documents and all of that stuff. So yeah, because I allow like flexible schedules, sometimes like the timelines and time zones can be different, but what I really like really encourage, not encourage, but that's a must actually when we hire. I do have to have people work at least few hours every day to make sure the urgent task can take care of, right? Because I know the clients sometimes like, oh my god, this and this and that, and we're like, okay, and I don't have anybody to do this, and it's going to be a problem, right? Especially with different time zones. So I want to make sure each person, at least if they part-time, they can at least work like 2-3 hours, but every day of the work week, so we can get stuff like done right away if we need to.
Are you using High Level, or what tool are you using?
We're actually using ClickUp. We used to use
okay.
Asana. We used to use Asana, but it was not like making some things that we needed in the agency. So we got to ClickUp, and it's pretty great actually. There's
Yeah.
few things, of course, we wanna still not there. We're still not quite there. We're not, definitely not where we want to be in next year. So we just started this like process of really, really growing and scaling. So a lot of those processes and a lot of those things still kind of like very fresh and need some editing, to do. But overall, ClickUp's been pretty good, and everybody's on top of things, and everybody's understanding what's happening, what projects we have, and it's really great. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, earlier we talked about just briefly documenting processes. I wonder if you could elaborate a little bit more about that and talk about your process for documenting workflows and how that's implemented and impacted your agency's operations.
Yeah, so I'm actually like old style. So I first start by writing everything down in my notebook. It's actually how I think best to write things down. So I write things down with a pen and paper in my notebook, and write all the tasks I'm kind of doing and what the timelines for those, usually how many hours each take, and where into, like, for example, our SEO contract's 8 months usually. So I wanna write first the goals, right? So the tasks and the goals, because I also want to have the goal for the project. So complete what are the key performance indicators, what are deliverables for a client, what their expectations. So I start with like 8 months. Here, what we need to do. Here, what needs to be as a result, right? Here's what needs to be done. Then we kind of put it back and go to like half term, right? So like 4 months. Here's at 4 months, what are our goals, what are milestones, what we need to achieve by 4 months. And then we break it down like month by month. So what are the goals for this month? What are the tasks? And each task, it can be like, I don't know, 10 to 15 pages of all of this. But I really want to break down each single task, even like the smallest one, like following up with the client via email, or like calling the client, or like stuff like this. I really want to write everything possible, because otherwise it's not gonna work. So each month we have like September, October, November, right? Each month, all of the tasks with the timelines. And that's, I think, the first. And then after that, when we agree on all of this, approve all of this within the team, and with the client, we want to move it to like a roadmap, and that's in a ClickUp. We create a roadmap and we assign each task to the person that's going to be doing it, with the time estimates and with their deadlines. So I think, and I think keeping tutorials and documentation on each task is very important. We are far, far away from having this done. We're slowly working on it, but I honestly think it might be another 3 to 6 months when we fully complete all of our processes. So right now we're trying for main processes, we have whatever we complete, the processes we already have completed. We have like Loom videos, right? And the documents, shared documents for each specific task. So we write what we do, how we do it, and then we record the video of us doing it and keep it all in the document, keep it all in the folder where everybody can access it. So this is absolutely the must. And you cannot like just have so many people working that don't know what they're doing. It's not going to be good at all. So it's very important to have clear process and everything documented for them to see and access at any time.
That is amazing. You weren't kidding when you said you have an attention to detail. That is a lot that's going into it. It's impressive. For folks who are listening who may be a little overwhelmed, she talked about using Loom to create those videos. I definitely recommend it. They've got built-in features now that will actually help you build the SOP from the video itself. So as long as you have a standard process that you can follow in the video and you're not wasting too much time trying to figure out what it is that you should be doing while you're on video, have that standard process first, video yourself doing it. It'll create a lot of that documentation for you. Folks, we're talking with Kateryna Quinn about building a team around you and delegating all of the important tasks. And I've got several more questions for it. But first, I'd like to share with you a story of another agency, J29, and how they've been able to scale.
Social media management is such a growing market. It's what websites used to be during the .com era. It's very challenging, especially for the small to medium-sized business owners, because they really can't do it on their own. And if they do want to do it on their own, it can get very expensive. It's a missing piece in today's market. As the owner of a digital marketing agency, it became very challenging to be able to manage all these different accounts. We were working easily 10 to 12-hour days, not being able to spend time with our family. We started seeking out a social media platform. I know there's HubSpot, there's Hootsuite.
What I really noticed with each tool was that there was always something missing. We were looking for something that was all-encompassing.
And we found Agorapulse. It posts automatically, but not just to one social media channel, but multiple. And it really transformed J29 Creative to what it is today.
Out of the box, we were able to accomplish what we needed.
It allows our social media managers to work anywhere, anytime.
I spend a lot of time meeting with our individual clients, helping them manage and strategize. So being able to, on the fly, take a look at the posting schedule that we've set up has been great.
It has allowed us to also show our clients an ROI, because one of the most challenging things with social media management is putting dollar figures to what we're doing. It has charts and graphs to be able to show those things.
Whether I'm working with my copywriters, some of my video editors, or my graphic designers, Agorapulse is really great because it helps us work with many different moving parts.
The biggest thing with social media, in order to do it well, it takes time. And when it takes time, it takes away from your family, your vacations, and the ability to be able to just relax.
It has really helped me give the best service I can to my clients and provide the best solution to managing a social media account.
As business owners, we all need time for ourselves, and that's what Agorapulse allows us to do.
Kateryna, as you've been growing your team, you're documenting all their processes, how are you keeping them motivated and aligned with your overarching goals for your agency?
Yeah, so we actually, to keep everybody motivated, we trying to implement, we already have of the bonus structure, right? To like make sure team really knows what the goals are, what their goals are, and the goals of the team are. And we implement bonus structure when people get paid for the successes they do, right? So on top of their salary, if they maybe, for example, like salespeople, if they hit like 15 new clients a month, right? That's our current goal. If they do this, we have like the bonuses going out for them on top of their commission, on top of their salaries. If like it's a project manager, like for every successful project closed, the client happy, we have like bonuses going up for the team who works on that project. So we're really, really trying to keep everybody money motivated where possible. But of course, when I interview people, I always try to understand what their goals are in professional career, right? Because some people are not money motivated at all. Of course, it's helpful, but some people actually really wanna maybe like grow in the company. Maybe they want to be a team lead. Maybe they want to manage other people. Maybe they want to be, have a challenge in work. So maybe there's some new projects that they're looking to take on that they might not be ready for, but they still want to try. We always try and give them that opportunity and like see what they can do, see how they do it. And of course, if they need help, just like explaining of what they did wrong, what they did right in terms of growth, we're gonna give it to them and just like help perfecting their work, afterwards. So it's really depends on the person and what keeps them motivated, and that's what we're trying to achieve. And of course, to keep in everybody like really clear on our core values is very important. I usually talk about them in the interviews as well, because I want to make sure people are right and like understand what we're all about. So our core values are passion, quality, and care. I'm sure you already understood. I talk a lot about it. So for the passion, it's actually a must when we hire a person. I really want to see that love to what they do in their eyes, right? So I really want to make sure they really love what they do, and that becomes a lot easier than just a job. It's actually more like a hobby when they truly love what they do and able to be really passionate about our projects. And when you have that love, it like brings all the energy, love is amazing. I think it's so important to have in every workplace. So to make sure everybody is very like in love with what they do, they like each other, everybody's happy. that's the ideal scenario for sure. And for the quality, as I mentioned already, attention to detail is so important. I think that's the main thing that really transfers to the word quality. Like you wanna make sure everything's done as good as possible. And actually, as an owner, interesting remark here, this was one of the big issues I had that I personally had to grow out of to be able to scale my agency. Because when I was back in 2021, I was like, oh my God, nobody can do things as good as I do, because I'm gonna like spend all the time, all the effort, and absolutely it's my business. I mean, I love it. So I really it was hard for me to hire somebody because they were like not good enough for me, and that's absolutely the worst thing you can think as an agency owner. Like I really, if you have those thoughts, like please work on yourself first and like forget those thoughts, because hiring the team is like the absolutely must to grow your agency. And you think they don't know what they're doing, but maybe you don't have a right team, because right now I'm so proud of my team. Everybody is really better than me and in everything. So I'm like, sometimes usually when the client asks, I know pretty well what to answer, but sometimes right now I'm like, okay, let me check with my team, because I'm not sure. So right now they're very, very involved with everything, and I'm less involved. So I'm not like really sure and on a lot of those little like professional like tasks they're doing. And I think that's the greatest thing. It's really, really great for people to be better and good at what they do. And if you don't think that you know everything. So, and last thing, of course, is the care, right? And caring for our clients, caring for each other and our company is very, very important. So that's why really just this what really helps to get that perfect product out, right? To make the service like perfect and have everybody happy. Because if you care about your client businesses, that's when you really want to try and help it to grow it, right? Because we are not just taking the money. We're not trying to do that. We're genuinely caring about our clients' businesses, and we're genuinely trying to help them grow. So that's extremely important for me. So if I see that again on the interview, somebody really doesn't care too much about like me or my business, I'm like, that's not what I want in my company. I actually want in my company for everybody to care and for everybody to care about the our clients.
I'd love to talk about the point about measuring quality
Hmm.
for a moment, because measuring the impact of our work is critical. And I know with certain areas of a marketing agency, things like website design and development, well, we can measure like the speed of the website and the quality of the
Hmm.
traffic that is coming in and conversion rates. And so a lot of areas of marketing are very innately measurable, but organic social media is one of those areas that we have a lot of challenges with. How are you currently measuring the business impact of social media for your clients within your agency, and then using that to like establish quality benchmarks?
Yeah, it's honestly, it is very difficult. It is very difficult with all marketing channels. We, of course, we have like Google Analytics and traffic and conversions rate, like you mentioned. We try to measure all of this, but I guess we have to, a lot of times we have to really talk to the client and see if they get more sales or not. So a lot of times when you run multiple campaigns, it's really difficult to understand what's performing well. So yes, the tools like Agora Pulse is great. It's really helpful with everything based on like reach and engagement and all kinds of data on like where the people are coming from, how they move in, like Google Analytics as well, right? On the website, we kind of see the whole process. If they come from social media, how they move through the website, which pages they land on, if they submit the form, if they call. So all of this we can track, but if they actually buy or not, the last step we have to kind of check with the client to see, unless it's e-commerce, right? That's a little bit easier. But service businesses gotta check with the client, see if they purchase it or not. Using CRM as well, trying to understand what clients are like currently in a deal, what clients are really thinking. So yeah, that's what we gotta do. It's not perfect, I'll be honest with you.
It is a tough nut to crack,
Yeah.
but this has been so cool. I just have one more question, and I'd
Mhm.
love us to end up with you sharing an advice. What
Mhm.
advice would you have for agency owners who they've been where you were, right? It's just them right now, or maybe they have a small team and they're struggling with delegating, they're struggling with building that team. What advice would you share with them?
Yeah, so it's honestly it's a lot of advice. I have I have plenty of advice. I'd say for me, the biggest thing to really improve on myself was to not be afraid. I think that's extremely important because like to lose money. I always thought like, oh my God, what's gonna happen if I don't have this extra client, right? What's gonna happen if I hire everybody and I'm not gonna have enough clients to pay for this? What's gonna happen like if I can't hire anybody right and then I fail my clients and we can't provide the quality that we've been providing, right? So all of those just have to go away. All of those insecurities, all of those like thoughts. Of course, it's good to think about all of this once, but don't think about it more than once. If after you thought about it, you're like, okay, I still want it, like it's just go for it. Just don't worry, don't think about it, because honestly having the plan right is very important, because if you're just gonna jump in and not really understand what your goals are and what the plans to get there is might not happen. So this whole thing might not happen. So for me it's like writing, understanding what my issues are, what I'm afraid of, what can happen, what's the worst thing can happen, and what's the best thing can happen from this. Writing everything down was great, but also creating like the goal roadmap, right? Like I told you, 10 pages notebook, sitting there for an evening, 3-4 hours, you're done, you're good. So after so when you really break down all of your like yearly goals, quarterly, half a year goals, quarterly goals for your business, and you really break down each task each month, what do you need to do to achieve it, again you can drill it even more down to understand how much time it's going to take and how much money it's going to take to do all of this. But when you're done with this and you feel like I want it, I want to do it, just go for it and don't worry about losing money, because that's what we're doing right now. We're doing that right now, but the growth been amazing. We actually, in terms of revenue, already almost hit the number we had in 1 month of the contracts. we had that we had annually last year. So it's mind blowing how much growth we have. And yes, profit. I think it's gonna be profitable, a lot more profitable soon. Whenever the whole growth like happen, and we all happy with the growth we've got. But right now, losing money, at least breaking even, is really great result for us to grow that much.
That's terrific advice. Have that abundance mindset. In fact, this has almost been an arc the past few episodes. Those of you listening, go back and listen to our show with Kayla Nota and with Joe Nehe. They talked about these kinds of topics a lot from different angles and perspectives and how to combat them. So thank you, Kateryna, for sharing that. That was amazing. This has been such a great conversation. For those who want to learn more about you or connect with you, where should they go?
Yeah, so if they want to contact me, LinkedIn's always there. We're actually very, very active on LinkedIn, checking messages every day. So please send a message. Very easy, astash.com, astash.com. That's our website, and you can contact us there. And of course, follow us, Facebook, Instagram, aStash Designs, and we'd love to connect with the questions, just to talk. I'm very friendly, as you can see, so very love to connect. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Kateryna. You are delightful. This has been a pleasure. Thank you, all of you, for listening. That's all we've got for today, friends. But don't forget to follow Social Pulse Podcast Agency Edition on Apple and leave us a review. We'd love to know what you think. Until next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of Social Pulse Podcast Agency Edition, hosted by Mike Allton and powered by AgoraPulse, the #1 rated social media management solution, which you can learn more about at agorapulse.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast player and be sure to leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Henneke Watkins-Porter hosts The Entrepreneurial You, empowering entrepreneurs with insights on leadership, business, and success. Henneke, tell listeners what to expect from your show.
So we provide innovative business strategies and practical solutions to common entrepreneurial challenges.
And where can people subscribe?
Find us at hennekewatkins-porter.com, as well as the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net, or search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard her. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.